So currently in our country, we're facing a sort of environmental catastrophe. As sea levels are increasing, temperatures are projected to increase by over 4% by 2050, and endangered species are going extinct as a result of climate change. And, recently, the Trump administration overruled the Clean Power Plan presented by the Obama administration that was projected to reduce our carbon emissions in America by 32% by 2050, and it was replaced with Trump's Trump's Affordable Clean Energy Rule, which is projected to reduce our carbon emissions by only 0.7 to 0.15% by 2050. So there are obviously some real environmental impacts that these rules can have. So what is your opinion on this change of policy?
Well, in the grand scheme of things, is 1.5% really making a difference?
I really don't think so.
Wasn't there that one other act that had like a much higher percentage? What was it?
Obama's Clean Power Plan, yeah. And that was supposed to reduce our carbon footprint by up to 32%. And that was from 2005 standards. I think today we have an even higher carbon footprint and impact on our environment. So is that really making that much of a change in our
I don't think it. Do you guys know what the actual backing behind the 32% was? Like how they got the 32% in there?
In Obama's act?
Yeah.
how they measured it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or how they actually did it, because that could give some
What was the name?
insight.
Clean Power
Plan and then Affordable Clean Energy Plan are the two.
Because if they had certain methods of reducing the 32%, that would
The metric was different.
Yeah, I just want to know, how did they plan on reducing emissions by that much?
Mm-hmm.
By when was it, 2030? It was the goal for Obama's plan,
Yeah.
or 2050? How did they plan to reduce carbon emissions by 32% by 2030? I just looked it up. So is that even feasible?
That could be one of the issues, because government's not outlining how they're gonna actually do it.
Yeah, they just say that, because I feel like a lot of the climate change stuff right now, it might just be aren't you guys afraid that it might be just propaganda for the government? No offense, the Democrats in Congress are just trying to get more power, and it's an issue that a lot of young people are passionate about. So,
Yeah, well, in 9th grade, my English teacher was how do you even know that all of the charts and tables are right? And it's kind of true, but also when I'm in Orange County and all that, or in LA, I see all of the what's it called?
you can see the smog clouds.
Yeah, you can see the
above
smog
cities.
clouds. That definitely shouldn't be there. So.
yeah, but is America the problem? Look at China and India. Aren't they the two most biggest emitters of CO2? If we're really concerned about that, and China doesn't have any policies about their CO2 emissions or pollution. They don't care.
At the same time,
And we're not using straws here, my straws look like boogers after I take them out after 3 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, but at the same time, we can't change anything in other countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead we should focus maybe on the policies in our own country.
Okay, I think that the best way to find a solution for this problem is to identify the individual causes that contribute to climate change and environmental detriment as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the major causes of this issue in America?
Well, for one, we've been using conventional energy production methods for years, decades.
Mm-hmm.
Things like fracking and drilling for coal and oil, all of those things really, and
But our-
water treatment facility.
Yeah, since the start of the Industrial Revolution, we've started relying heavily on fossil fuels as a main export and import. And obviously when you burn fossil fuels, it releases a high amount of carbon emissions.
The thing is, our country relies on oil and fossil fuels as a huge part of our economy. So taking that away, it's gonna destroy like our economy like significantly. It's gonna affect how we make money. A lot of people are gonna lose their jobs because there's a huge industry in oil. And another thing is I feel like we could actually affect other countries, like Trump with the Paris Agreement, how he withdrew until all the other countries would be held to the same standard. I think that if we did something like that, maybe not necessarily with Europe, but with China, if we said, hey, we're not going to like give you as much of our products or as much of whatever China needs from us. I think there was something agreement about food or something like that not too long ago. Like if we held China to a better standard, since we have trade with China, if we said, hey, we're not going to trade with you unless you do this, this, and this with your like for your environment, like we can affect foreign policy.
Oh, that's a good
Like,
idea.
Yeah, we can, and I think that since they are like, it's a fact they are the biggest like emitters of CO2.
Yeah.
They should be held accountable, and since America, like even if we implement the Green New Deal, even if we get the money, you know, first of all, where are we gonna get it? But second of all, like even if we go through all of these far lengths, how much is America gonna do? Like I know that, and a lot of people like say like, oh, we should take taxes from the rich. The rich are the ones who drive electric cars. Like they have solar panels on their houses. Like why should we take that opportunity away from them? People want to make the world a better place. Like, and I think that we should just hold other countries accountable for their productions of CO2.
So you're saying since other countries contribute more to the problem of climate change, that the United States shouldn't be entitled to change their policies since they aren't the greatest producer of CO2 emissions?
Not necessarily change our policies. The thing is, we could change our policies, maybe not so drastically as like removing all motor vehicles. You know, it would have to take a lot longer than the proposed amount for us to do it. But like, okay, I just think that it's not feasible to reduce our carbon emissions by 32% by 2050 or 2030. It's just not.
I think also one of the things we need to do is, like, you're referring to like spending, and I'm sure we can find a solution for that later. But we need to like put in more of our money into finding a solution for like a cleaner energy source, because as of now I think we haven't really been inventive in terms of, because we've just had solar energy, and the problem is a lot of people want solar energy and they would put it on their houses, but it's just too expensive. So if we invest in finding cheaper methods of solar panel usage, then we can make an impact out.
Yeah, instead of investing in short-term monetary gain, which is basically fossil fuels, we could start investing in more technologies that have, you know, greener outcomes. And Brian, what is one way you think that we could help fund this change?
Okay, so I was looking through the budget that like, the U.S. spends on, and one of the most costly ones that we have is our military spendings. And I was checking out one statistics that compared to other countries, like if we combine like other countries' budget, like China, like India, France, and like the United Kingdom, if we combine like 7 of them, we will still have our spendings on military is going to be higher than that still. So I think we should probably take budget from the military. I'm not saying that we have to, but so from somewhere at least, so we can try to invest it more into environmentally better fuels.
I can see why. Like, what is our current spending on military?
So the most recent one that I have here says that is around 600 to 650 billion.
What's the percent of tax? Like, I just want to
The
know
percentage
the percentage.
for military spending?
Yeah, because like our country gets billions of dollars from taxpayer money.
We're still in debt.
Yeah, I know.
We're still in debt. Okay, so let me look at the U.S. budget. So it says right here that our military spendings that we currently have, it's very vast, and I can't really tell. What the hell? Look at this. This is so different.
Just go back to the code.
It's definitely not that. It's definitely not that.
That's discretionary spending.
Yeah, it's discretionary spending. Total federal spending. So we spend around 16% of our military spendings on what's it called? In 2015, 16% of our budget went towards military spending.
And that was
in
2015, $609 billion.
Yeah. Okay. So the other ones went to Social Security, unemployment, labor, Medicare and health. Social Security, labor went to 33%, Medicare is 27%.
Okay, so the majority.
But then if we look at our energy and environment spending, it's 1% as well.
Only 1%. So we could definitely put more money towards.
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be,
spending.
especially for military spending, but we have to.
Portion more.
We have to.
Yeah, we can definitely redistribute some of the funding.
The thing is, okay, the military gets paid from our tax dollars. And did you know that the enlisted service member, like at the beginning, like if you enlist as a military member, your average like beginning salary is about $9.25 an hour.
That's less.
You might die for our country
When
and
was
you
that
get paid like
when
less
was-
than $10.
When was that statistic made?
That was assigned in like by the Trump and the he signed this act called I think it's, let me just see what it's called,
We've been running
the
for
National
12
Defense
months.
Authorization Act in 2017,